let's get ready for week 4 in the NBA. We'll look at the schedule, we'll look at streaming tips, we'll look at weekly leagues, and we'll look at Michael Bolton. Maybe not. Maybe we will.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy Basketball, your daily fantasy basketball podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and this is my glorious purpose, and I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Twitter, as always, at redrock_bball, on TikTok at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Today's episode is brought to you by PrizePick, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA and use the code all lowercase LockedOnNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. Thank you also for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free and we are available on all platforms. We're getting ready for a week 4 preview. Just a quick thing. I did put this out on social media, and a couple of guys did reach out to me, which was great. I'm always looking for new clothes and new t-shirts that I wear on this show every day. So if you do work for an apparel company, a streetwear company, you own one of those companies, and you want to talk to me about or show me what you've got, I'm interested in getting stuff to wear on this show and to wear out in public. So hit me up, send me an email if you are in that position. Shout out to the couple of companies who have done that already. But yeah, I'm always looking for new stuff to wear and to new brands to try out, or even existing brands to try out, but always interested in that sort of thing. So yeah, just wanted to throw that out there. Let's talk week 4, because that's what we're here to do across the NBA. Let's get into it, because this week last week was a bit weird in terms of the schedule, in terms of streaming. It wasn't quite probably where we needed it to be, and I don't know why I'm couching that with, it wasn't quite, but it was shithouse. It was just a bad week for streaming. This is a much better week in terms of attacking the week for streaming. So while last week was a bit stashy, we could take the chance to stash Keontae George, and that actually came to fruition earlier than we expected, even though the scoring has been bad. He's had 20 assists and 60-plus minutes in 2 games. I chalk that up so far as a lowercase W. But this week, we are 3 weeks in. You assess your own team. How does it look? Are you struggling? Are you 0-3? Are you 3-0? Because that can change some of your strategy. But we've also got this week a key ability to be able to maximize games played with minimal ads, which really does help in terms of taking more chances on underperforming players or flyer types or any of that sort of stuff. So a little bit of a different strategy heading into this week, and it's always good to have that sort of upfront and understand where we're at with our strategy for the week ahead. So let's look how it does go. We've got 4 games on Monday, which is a very, very light Monday. We usually have bigger Mondays, but we've got a big Sunday for some reason. 11 games coming up on Sunday. The Sunday preview show coming later today. 10 games on Tuesday, which again is opposite. Usually you have no games on Tuesday. So 10 games Tuesday, 8 on Wednesday, the standard, boring, annoying 2 games on Thursday, a very busy 11-game Friday. We've got 6 games on Saturday and 9 games on Sunday. So in terms of who plays 4 games for the week, Boston, Chicago, Cleveland, Dallas, the Lakers, the Bucks, the Knicks, the Thunder, Magic, Sixers, Blazers, Kings, and Raptors. For those of you who can count, or for those of you who don't want to count, either one, it's 13 teams. That's not that many. Not that many. Right? Usually we'll have 20 teams that play 4 games during the week. That's a lower amount of games this week. Also worth thinking about. So when you've got a week where 22 teams play 4 games, in a weekly setting, a guy that plays 3 games or 2 games is really not in a good spot. But when only 13 teams, less than half of the teams, play 4 games, a 3-game week is not as bad. And a 2-game week, while still annoying, and 2 of the 2-game teams this week have got stinking schedules, it's not as killer this week because the bulk aren't playing 4 games. The bulk are, in fact, playing 3 games. The Hawks, the Nets, the Hornets, Nuggets, Pistons, Warriors, Grizzlies, Heat, Wolves, Pelicans, Suns, Spurs, Jazz, and Wizards. So 14 teams play 3 games for the week. And again, if you've got your little pocket calculator out, maybe you've got a calculator watch, you can understand that we've had 13 4-game teams, 14 3-game teams. That must mean that 3 teams play 2 games. And they are the Rockets, they are the Pacers, and they are, for the second time in 4 weeks, which is amazing, the LA Clippers. Second time the Clippers have had a 2-game week this season. That means they're going to have, and we knew this when we looked at the schedule at the start of the season, a lot of back-to-backs and a lot of chunky weeks coming up later on. The weird thing about 2 of those teams, the Rockets and the Pacers, and I'll address this later, but I might as well chuck it in now. The Rockets don't play until Friday. Not that there's many stream guys you have, but if you did try a stash on Atari Eason, if you do have Dylan Brooks and you're debating whether to hold, they don't play until Friday, and Friday's a high-volume day. So you might not use a Rockets player until Sunday. Now, you still keep your Jalen's and probably your Jabaris and definitely your Şengün's and definitely Van Vliet. But Eason and Brooks, when you might not use them till Sunday, feels like a waste of a roster spot a lot of that time. But, as I mentioned, given that we can get some maximal adds in without maximizing waiver pickups, which we'll talk about soon, you might be able to hold on. Whereas for the Pacers, they play Tuesday on a high-volume day, and then they don't play again until Sunday. So a fringe pacer, maybe it was Jalen Smith before his injury, maybe it is Buddy Hield, maybe it is Andrew Nembhard. I don't know why I'd have him in a 12-team league. Maybe it's Bruce Brown. And in a 10-team league, I can get this. And in a 12-team points for Bruce Brown, I get it as well. You might not use him on Tuesday, and then you can open up Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday as an open roster spot. Is Brown worth holding through that if he's your worst player? Probably not. In a category league, he probably is, but this is the weirdness of this schedule for this week. You don't want to make too many panicky sort of moves, but it is something that I think is worth mentioning or worth considering, depending on your individual league format. Today's episode is brought to you by PrizePick. PrizePick is the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. The easiest and most exciting way as well. That's convenient and it's also awesome. Instead of you going up against individual people with their projections and their algorithms and their salary cap lineups and all that sort of stuff, it's you versus player stats, you versus projections. You choose between 2 to 6 players, you look at the player stat that you're given, and you just say more or less. That's as easy as it gets. And you can win up to 25 times your money back as well. You're going to have so much fun doing this. It doesn't take you all day to go in and do this. You just look at the things and go, okay, more, less, done, easy. Multiple different sports. You can actually do the combo sports as well, like a basketball football special combo where it's like 3-pointers plus receptions for LeBron and Travis Kelce is the option they give us. And you go, well, are they going to combine for 10.5 of those? More or less. Choose it. Easy. It couldn't be more easy. So go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA. This part's easy as well. And use the code LockedOnNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA. Use the code LockedOnNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. Let's get back into the weekly preview now. We've seen how the games shake out, so let's look at quality games. We have streaming days 5 out of the 7 days this week. Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. Look at your individual team. Look at your individual roster and your individual schedule. Honestly, it depends because there's not any 14 game days or 13 game days. You might be able to, on Tuesday and Friday, with 10 and 11 games on, you might be able to stream every single day. That is possible. I have to try and use some sort of cutoff, so we use 9 and fewer as streamable days, and that's Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. But you might be able to hit Tuesday, you might be able to hit Friday as well. There are a bunch of teams that have 3 quality games. The Celtics, Bulls, Cavs, Mavs, Bucks, Knicks, Thunder. Who's the last one? Oh, it's Kings and Raptors. I don't know what happened there. They have 3 quality games out of their 4 games for the week. There is no team, though, that plays all of their games as quality games. So no 4-game team has 4 quality games. No 3-game team has 3 quality games. No 2-game team has 2 quality games. The Clippers, even though they don't have the weirdness of the Rockets and the Pacers 2-game schedule, they're the only one of the 2-game teams that has 0 quality games. So if for some reason you are holding on to Norman Powell or Bones Highland, or honestly, get ready. You know what I'm going to say. If you've got Russell Westbrook in a category league, do you need to hold him? Will you play him on Tuesday and Friday? And if the answer is no, do you need to hold him? Is he worth taking zeros all week for? In a points league, he probably is. But things are going terribly on that team. And we saw Terrence Mann play 29 minutes last game. Obviously, you don't add Terrence Mann, by the way. He's not a 12-team guy, especially with this schedule. But that's a decision that is going to come. And I'd never suggest this for Kawhi or for Russ. For Kawhi or Paul George or for Harden, even though they're struggling a bit at the moment. But for Russ, with 0 quality games, with 2 games for the week, with a guy who I think is going to trend down, you have to ask the question, is it worth it? In a lot of cases, the answer will be no. In some, it'll be yes. But in a lot of cases, that answer will be, the answer to the question, is it worth having Russell Westbrook on my team? Shout out to Rob Pelinka. The answer will be no. Just think about it. So let's head to the stream zone. We can do it this week. We can use 2 ads and get 5 games out of it. That's what you want for streaming. That is the perfect scenario. Standard leagues have 4 ads for the week. Not saying that's right or wrong, but that's what you do. Meaning you can use 1 roster spot, get 5 games out of it. There's no team that plays 5 games this week. And you still have 2 ads left over. If you have 2 streaming spots, 10 games out of those 2 slots. Or you use those other 2 ads for stashes, for foolish drops from other people. Maybe you think the other person who dropped Russell Westbrook was foolish. Add him and stash him. This is how we do it. We look at Monday to Wednesday to begin. Tuesday is the big day in the middle. Monday and Wednesday are streaming days. And there are 8 teams who we can look at. Boston, Chicago, Cleveland, Milwaukee, the Knicks, the Kings, the Raptors, and the Wizards. You can find a player on one of those 8 teams that will give you nice value Monday through Wednesday. Now, it might be Al Horford. Kobe White would be someone I would be very interested in. Same as the rabbit hunter, Alex Caruso. In Cleveland, probably not much there. Milwaukee, is it Jay Crowder? Is it Bobby Portis? For the Knicks, Josh Hart? Emmanuel Quickley if he was dropped. For the Kings, Kevin Huerter maybe? Malik Monk, definitely worth a look. For the Raptors, Gary Trent, maybe? For the Wizards, who knows? Bilal? Denny, if he's there? Avdia? We heard that Delon Wright is out for 4 to 6 weeks. I don't think this makes anybody a 12-team ad, but it obviously helps just give a couple of extra minutes into Tyus. We'll see what it does for Poole. We'll see what it does for Denny. We'll see what it does for Bilal. Deeper leagues, we'll see what it does for Ryan Rollins. We'll see what it does for out-of-the-rotation, top 10 pick legend Johnny Davis. So something's going to happen there, but it's not probably going to impact 12s that much. So we've got that. We start that off for the beginning of the week. And then we target the Thunder because they play Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. 3 games, 4 nights to end the week. Lou Dort has already been playing well. May or may not be rostered. If he isn't, he becomes a great pickup. Kasan Wallace, 3 games, 4 nights. Started the second half, last game over Dort. Isaiah Joe, 60 minutes of action across 3 nights. Might end up with 10 plus threes and 35 points. Maybe Pig Williams. Maybe not. But Wallace, Dort, Joe, absolutely going to be worth a look for the Thunder. So have a look at it. But that is a way, and it might not be possible. Someone might grab Wallace ahead of time. But someone might grab Wallace ahead of time, that's true. Dort might already be rostered, and you might not have another great Thunder option. Joe still would be useful, right? 3 games for Joe is 60 minutes usually. Anyone else who plays 2 games gives you 60 minutes as well. If there is 30-minute starter, how many of those guys float on your wire? Probably not many. But this is a way that you can do it. Just look at how your team is structured. I feel like there's someone that I'm missing on the Thunder. It wouldn't be Usman Jang. Let's go and double check this because who am I actually missing on this Thunder team that might be worth... if Chet Holmgren's around, you add him. I'm joking. I know he's not around. Now it's probably Joe. Joe and Wallace and Dort are the 3 guys that we look at there. Anyway, that's that part of that done. That is your stream zone. We've got finally a really strong target system that we can run. Schedule quirks. The Wizards and the Hawks, we're just really bookending the alphabet here. They don't play on the weekend. So if there are fringe guys you've got, maybe it's the depressed penis. Maybe it is a Bilal. Maybe it's Denny, but you probably do want to hold him for the Wizards. They don't play Saturday, Sunday. Saturday, Sunday are both stream days, and there are 3 teams that play the Saturday, Sunday back-to-back. So a Bay, a DeAndre Hunter, probably not a Bogdanovic, not an Okongwu. And then the Wizards guys, you could drop them. And then I said earlier, Houston do not play until Friday, and the Pacers played Tuesday and Sunday, so they've got 4 days off in the middle, and the Tuesday is a high-volume day, and the Friday for the Rockets is a high-volume day. So they're just dreadful schedules. And as well with the Clippers having 0 quality games for the week, all of those, sometimes you get a 2-game week where the guys play 2 quality games, and there are lots of 3-game teams who play 0 quality games or 1, and then it works out okay. This week, it does not work out particularly okay for those teams for this week. Today's episode is also brought to you by the Jace Case. Jace Case is 5 emergency antibiotics that you can have in your home for whenever something is necessary. Like if you get into a situation where there is drug supply chain issues and you can't get the antibiotics you need, you're in a disaster type scenario, which, knock on wood, we hope never happens. But you want to be prepared in that situation. But they also have the ability to chuck in some extra things into the Jace Case. Your daily medications. You can get a year's supply of that stuff so that you don't have those supply chain issues, so that you can be well prepared ahead of time to make sure you're never having to miss out on doses or halve your medication, which as a pharmacist is a terrible idea because you run short and you don't have that supply at home. They're also providing things like generic erectile dysfunction medications as well, like Viagra and Cialis on that supply as well. So it's all there. Gift cards too, they've got over at Jace Medical. So the Jace Case, life-saving antibiotics, but also daily medication convenience. So go to jacemedical.com, see if it's right for you, and use the code LOCKEDON for $20 off. That's JASE medical.com. The code is locked on. The price is $20 off. As I find the button. Let's crack back in and talk more week 4 preview action. Let's look at the 3-in-4 night gang. There's quite a lot that start things off. And we are going to look at Sunday to end week 3 here. We have got 8 teams that play 3 games in 4 nights, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. The Bulls, the Mavericks, the Lakers, the Wolves, the Knicks, the Sixers, the Blazers, and the Wizards. Now, look at your Sunday schedule. Do you have an empty roster spot? Look at your Tuesday schedule. Do you have an empty roster spot? Because if you do, then this 3-in-4 makes more sense for you to attack it hard. Because you get 3 games, 4 nights, really big bonus. A lot of guys that are going to be useful there. One name that I mentioned this either last week on this show or during the week for the streaming show, and I am stronger on it now, Derek Jones Jr. He is worth a 12-team look at the moment. He is playing well. He is playing more minutes than Grant Williams. I am not saying he's a must-roster guy, but with 3 games in 4 nights, Sunday through Wednesday, Derek Jones needs to be rostered in more than like 4% of leagues that he's rostered in. Every 12-team league needs to pay attention to it. Don't necessarily need to add, but you need to pay attention. He should be rostered in every 14-team league and every 16-team league. Derek Jones Jr. The other one, which I'm going to highlight later, and I'm going to put his ugly mug. Sorry, I apologize, Mr. Mays. You don't have an ugly mug. That's a term of endearment. Skylar Mays. Scoots out 2 weeks. Brogdon, we haven't heard a timeline, but he's got a sore hamstring. There's no way they rush this bloke back. Skylar Mays, 4 games next week for the Blazers. They play Sunday. They play 3 and 4 nights. An absolute must-roster player. But also remember this. When you are debating between Skylar Mays or Kobe White, who's established already, but Mays is probably a better per-minute producer, and I would love more for the short-term Skylar over Kobe. Or you're looking at Keontae George, for example, which is a common question. Mays almost will undoubtedly outperform George for this week. But as soon as one of Scoot or Brogdon comes back, Mays goes back to being an 18-minute player, and then when they both come back, he probably goes back to being a 0-minute player. It was encouraging that they converted him from a 2-way contract to a full contract. I thought he played really well last season. In fact, he played so well last season, Skylar Mays, that they had to sit him down so they could lose more games. I think he's an NBA player. I think he's a real NBA rotation player. But when you're considering who you drop, there is going to be strong, let's say, top 60 numbers for Mays this week. That is possible. But it might last literally 1 week, and it has no real chance, outside of many more injuries piling up, it'll get worse when Simons comes back, that you might get him to be reactivated in March or February. So while George will almost definitely be a worse producer this week, it depends what you're focusing on. Are you focusing on this week only? Sure. Do you want to have a little bit more foresight because we're in week 4, not week 14? Then debate it that way. The other 3 game in 4 night sections. Atlanta, Lakers, Magic, Sixers, Blazers again. You'll notice the Blazers, a lot of games. Tuesday through Friday, they play 3 games in 4 nights. Really strong Skylar Mays stuff. The Bulls, Kobe White again. The Bulls, the Bucks, and the Knicks play 3 games in 4 nights in the Wednesday to Saturday chunk, so mid to late week. And then at the end of the week, as we detailed earlier in the Stream Zone, the Thunder are the only team playing the Thursday through Sunday 3 in 4 night schedule. So we have a lot of 3 and 4 nights that we can attack. But as I have already mentioned, and I will continue to mention, make sure you check out how it impacts you on the schedule on those higher volume days, Tuesday, Friday, and Sunday. Can you use them? Does it make sense to use them? No one plays a 4 in 5 this week, but multiple teams playing a 4 in 6. The Sunday through Friday, so starting the end of week 3 through to Friday in week 4. Bulls, Lakers, Cam Reddish? Don't drop Austin Reeves, by the way, but Cam Reddish maybe? Knicks, quite a few options there. Sixers, so if you were debating whether to drop Oubre, and I know many of you weren't, but have a look at his numbers. Just have a look at Oubre's numbers. Melton even. I know I'll say the same thing. Look at his numbers. Dreadful. I think he's going to jump up, and I still have... people think that I'm absolutely in love with D'Anthony Melton. I think he's a pretty good player, but I'm also have him on 0 of my teams because nearly everybody that I drafted against would draft him before me. Right? I'm not as high on him as others are. Irrespective. 4 games in 6 nights for the Sixers, the Blazers, and the Wizards. That's the Sunday through Friday. Monday through Saturday during the week are those pesky Chicago Bulls. The Bucks and the Knicks. 4 games, 6 nights, Monday through Saturday. And then Tuesday through Sunday, Dallas, Derek Jones Jr., the Lakers, the Thunder, Kaysine Wallace, the Magic, Suggs, Anthony, Badadze, Wagner. The Sixers, Melton, Oubre, Batum in deeper leagues. And the Blazers, old mate Skylar Mays once more. So there's your 4 in 6 little schedule. What else do we need to look at now? Well, it's back-to-backs. I'm not going to do the back-to-backs that include the high-volume days. We will look at those when we do the daily schedule streaming stuff through the week, but in terms of trying to plan out a week, I have to have a cutoff somewhere. Monday to Wednesday, pseudo back-to-back. Boston, Chicago, Cleveland, Milwaukee, the Knicks, the Kings, the Raptors, the Wizards. This was the beginning of our Stream Zone schedule plan. Thursday to Saturday. There's no Wednesday, Thursday back-to-back. Thursday to Saturday back-to-back. Warriors, Heat, or pseudo back-to-back. Warriors, Heat, Thunder. The Heat, be interesting to see how things develop with the Tyler Hero situation. Kyle Lowry, Hayward Highsmith. Josh Richardson's actually injured at the moment as well. We'll see how that works out. Warriors, probably going to be no one, but maybe you look at Wiggins if he was dropped, rightfully so. So there's a Thursday to Friday, Thursday to Saturday back-to-back combo there, pseudo back-to-back. And then on the weekend, as I've teased earlier in the show, 3 teams have it. The Derek Jones Jr.-led Dallas Mavericks, the Bismack Biyombo-led Memphis Grizzlies. Shout out to Jacob Gilead. Is he available on ESPN yet? I tried to do a bit of a deep dive yesterday on Twitter about players not available on ESPN, and honestly, there is zero excuse for you to play fantasy on ESPN. I like some of the people that I know who work at ESPN. I don't know everyone, but I know some of the people working at ESPN fantasy-wise. They don't control this stuff. But you should not play fantasy on ESPN. If Jacob Gilead, who started for the Grizzlies yesterday and played in the NBA last season, is not available to pick up, your platform's shit. If Matt Ryan, who started a game this season for the Pelicans, who hit a game winner last season for the Lakers and played on 2 NBA teams last season, is not available, you're shit. Darian Sebron, not a big name, but played for the Pelicans and was on a roster last season. Do you know who the Kings starting point guard has been the last 2 games? It's Keon Ellis. Can you add him on ESPN? Of course you can't. You should not play fantasy on any platform that these are Ellis, Gilead, Ryan. These are legitimate 12-team stream options and you cannot use them. And they didn't just get signed yesterday. They were signed last season. Last season. And you still can't use them. ESPN. If you are watching, and if you're one of the people at ESPN that does content there that I know and like, tell your bosses. This is embarrassing, and I will continue to go on about this because it is ridiculous for the sport of fantasy basketball, the hobby of fantasy basketball, that you are a supposed leader and you can't even add players who have been on rosters for 2 years. And I know I'm getting like a bit soapboxy here, but it's embarrassing. We all make little mistakes at times. We all do. I think the other day I said, well, maybe Ibu Baji might be a deeper league guy in Portland. He got waived. I forgot that, right? He got waived. That's cool. But I'm also not running a database of NBA players. Well, actually, I am. But you won't find that happen on Basketball Monster. You won't find the rosters being that out of date where players don't exist. Fix it, for God's sake. Anyway, the Thunder. They didn't have Vasily Micic in their database to add. He is there now. They've got the Saturday-Sunday back-to-back, as we detailed earlier, so Wallace and Dort and Pig Williams as another option there, Isaiah Joe on that back-to-back. I didn't actually plan for that ESPN rant, but I think it's important. I do. Weekly leagues. Weekly league schedule doesn't matter in terms of when the games are played. It's just how many games get played. And these 6 names here, I think, are all worthy of adding and starting in a category league for the week ahead. And number 1 is the big fella. I can't... Mrs. What's her name? Mrs. White, Skylar Mays. Add him. 4 games, strong schedule, no Brogdon, no Scoot. Let's go. No Simons. Kobe White. I haven't talked much about Kobe White lately. His play has improved. He's looked better. Starting point guard with usage upside, who's playing well, should be rostered, and now we've got a great schedule. Mo Wagner, Jalen Suggs, Goga Badadze, Cole Anthony. They're all there. 4 games again for the Magic. Alex Caruso, the Rabbit Hunter. If they play him 30 minutes a night, he will be top 70 and he'll be must roster. I worry that they won't, but I'm also happy to get ahead of the trend. And then Derek Lively, or the other Derek that starts for the Mavs, a very Derek-friendly team. Shout out to Derek Fisher, Mavs legend. Derek Lively and Derek Jones is an option there too. I prefer Lively over Jones, but they are both options. For a weekly points league using the Yahoo scoring system. ESPN, let me say something though. Back to ESPN. Your fantasy point scoring system, I think, is better than Yahoo's. I don't love the 3-point bonus that you give, but I think it is a little bit better, the scoring system. That's why we implemented it over at Locked On Fantasy Basketball Bowl for this season. There you go. But more people play Yahoo. Weekly points league ads, Skylar Mays. These are all 50% plus available. Kobe White, Goga Badadze, Jalen Suggs, Josh the Hitman Hart, and I will throw my other mate, my other Derek, Derek Jones Jr. Maximum Derek, medium Derek, median Derek, mode Derek, lots of Dereks. Derek Jones Jr. as a points league ad for the week. And that, legends, is the end of the show. Don't forget to follow this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and Odyssey. And if you're on YouTube, you know what to do. I think you do what to do. You thumb it up, you leave a comment, you tingle my bell, and that's it. We're done. Guys, thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.